Hey fam, this is Hunter Tickle. I want to thank you all for tuning in to my podcast. Please subscribe to get the latest from the Wide Nations of Sports podcast, including exclusive behind the scenes access and videos and more. Wherever you are and however you are tuning in, thanks for stopping by. All right, so we got a lot to unpack here. We just saw Panama deliver the U.S. a 2-1 loss. That was a kind of a mind-boggling 90 minutes. A lot to kind of unwind and kind of take in. First off, there's just one word to describe what just happened. CONCACAFed. Yes. I've been watching the U.S. national team since 2000. That right there was through and through textbook CONCACAF coming at you hard. Usually those games, though, technically are on home soil for these Central American, Caribbean teams, well, and as well as Mexico. But this game was in Atlanta, Georgia, at Mercedes-Benz Stadium there where the Falcons play. It felt like that game was in Panama, about, I don't know, another 6 hours south of that stadium. But it was in Atlanta. Panama got the result that they needed to. That was very shocking to see how it unfolded. There's a couple of things that we're going to talk about. So one was Panama's kind of delivery, I guess. They got inside the heads of the U.S. national team. They did exactly what they wanted to, even though they weren't on home soil. That's a big deal. That's how they got the 3 points today, got back into the thick of it after an opening loss to Uruguay where they really looked outmanned, but still only lost that game, for instance, by 2 goals. So now they're only a -1 goal differential. USA is now a +1 goal differential, but they're square on points. Still a lot to come. Bolivia, Uruguay later tonight. But yeah, we're here for the instant reaction here between USA and Panama, where the U.S. lost 2-1 tonight. That makes them 1-1 in the group now, as well as Panama with all to play for. Uruguay has a win. Bolivia has a loss. We'll see what happens in that result. But really kind of going forward to see kind of where this group goes, I think the U.S. is going to need to get 3 points against Uruguay or have a draw where they're scoring, let's say, 2 goals and have a high draw versus Uruguay in terms of goals scored and allowed, and hope that they get through with Panama slipping up against Bolivia. But Bolivia is probably, unless, kind of based on the results so far, you kind of would expect Panama to go ahead and beat Bolivia. I'm just forecasting, probably going to beat Bolivia there in that final group day, and that's a big deal. Another thing we saw was the emergence of a striker. Yes, we got one here for the U.S. national team, the Yanks. Flo, he goes by the nickname Flo. His name is Florin Balogan, and he was on fire today. I'm honestly shocked that he didn't find the back of the net multiple times to earn them a result where they got some points today, but he couldn't get it done. But he was just on fire whenever he got the ball. Looked like he was just going to blast that ball to the far post corner every time he got it. More on that in a bit here. And then the last ultimate thing for me was kind of just the U.S. being sloppy. They were sloppy today in terms of how they kind of carried themselves on the pitch, and that is going to hurt you every time, and it did. It looked like they were going to get away with a draw today, which was best case scenario. That would have put them in a position to possibly, for sure, go to the next round with a tie against Uruguay, the best team in this group, but that didn't happen. And now, like I said, they're probably going to need a win. And really, the U.S. has all themselves to blame for that. You just got to be smarter. I mean, the game was very unlucky for them, the way things dropped. You had the red card late for Panama after kind of everything was kind of over, and even into that, probably 2 minutes passed by, and still the ref only gave 4 minutes of stoppage time, so that was a bad break. You had Panama really just beating the crap out of the U.S. in terms of hard fouls, and that was obviously the game plan from the get-go. You got to let the ref deal with that. You got to let your play do the talking with crisp passes, crisp shots, going to goal with authority. You got to just let your play do the talking, and they just got baited. And ultimately, they were baited severely in the 16th minute when Tim Weah literally just suckered punched, just socked the back of a defender's head. So a cheap shot and a full fist, back of the head. 2 minutes later, after VAR, the officials sent him off. And that really just kind of set the tone for kind of what was going to underlie after that. The U.S. did go up 1-0 after that, but they surrender 2 more goals and lose the game. After that foul, after that red card where the U.S. had to play down 11v10 the rest of the way, you had the U.S. give up the ball. They had the ball for 25% of the game, 25% to 75%, which is like extremely lopsided the other way that you thought it was going to be coming in this game. I thought, honestly, coming in, the U.S. was going to have a chance to win this game, probably like 3-1, maybe have a mistake in the back, but probably get in attack with numbers like they did against Uruguay and probably put 3 away, kind of make up for the 2 that they put in last game, have a little bit sharper in front of the net. Completely different task. That was in the 18th minute. See, they still had 70-plus minutes to play a man down. Obviously, Panama, one of their top midfielders had a complete cheap shot on Captain America, Christian Pulisic, and that was in the 88th minute. He kicked the crap out of Christian's ankles as he passed by him with his feet. Christian got up and gave him a good shoulder nudge right to the chest. But, Alberto was red carded, and like I said, they really didn't – U.S. just didn't have enough time at that point to find the equalizer. I will say the 94th minute, the last minute of stoppage time, kind of the dying moments of the match, with the U.S. sending everyone but the kitchen sink at Panama, including their goalkeeper who came on at halftime. A little bit more on that here in a bit. But they had their goalkeeper on who came in, and he was in the box even half-worth. And he didn't get on the end of it, but just with everyone there in the box amongst the commotion, you had Christian Pulisic picking out Chris Richards at the back post. Chris Richards skied up for the header, but ultimately was a little bit off balance and had to kind of sky over another U.S. player, and he headed his effort over the bar, and that was all she wrote. U.S. got the loss. I gotta imagine that Greg Berhalter is fuming right now at how much one player, 1 out of 11, Tim Weah, how much he put them in a bad position, and they might not get out of this group now. And this is the last kind of trial, the last kind of spot where this U.S. team can grow before hosting the World Cup in 2 years. Really detrimental. I hope for Tim's just psyche and just his wherewithal that the U.S. can get through this group. He will not be a part of the next match. Red card means you're out that game, the following game. We'll see if he can kind of put that behind him, and if the U.S. can put that behind them and they can get out of this group. A lot to be worked for. And like I said, U.S. they got CONCACAF. They got baited. Very physical game. There was the early going where Matt Turner got ran into by a Panama player, nowhere near the ball. It's in the air. Goalkeeper's up, and the guy just ran right through his arm, and that forced Matt Turner, the U.S.'s number 1 shot stopper, to come off at halftime. Really just unfortunate situation. Hopefully he can get back in for the first game, get in for the final game of the group stage, I should say. But, I would say the U.S., while they were unlucky, kind of had themselves to blame for not being smarter in this situation. This Panama team had no business competing with the U.S. for a result today, but that's exactly where they found themselves for the majority of this game. They adjusted. They tried to play defense. They tried to get the result to tie. Didn't happen. But we'll move on from that. So as I said, Flo he was ready to go. Even after Tim Way was taken off with a red card in the 18th minute, 4 minutes later, Flo got on the ball. He combined with Anthony Robinson and Jetty, and they combined, they combined there on the left side of the top of the box, and Flo was able to score as he got the ball back laid off for him by Robinson, and he scored with a just world-class strike. Just hammered the ball to the far post, rocked the upper part of the post, and came back across the goal and almost hit the other post, but it did go across the line inside of the side netting, and that was a 1-0 lead for U.S. right there. And really a world-class strike that kind of came up out of thin air. That was off the left boot of Flo. And I will say this, Flo, I'll give it to Greg Berhalter. They went with the same 11 as last game. I like it. I thought they played well enough last game for him to do that. I think that shows a lot of trust in your players, a lot of not overthinking things, just kind of letting them come to them. And Flo, the guy who has lived in London for most of his life since he was 2, was able to put that one away. He also had a moment there, the 3rd minute of stoppage time in the first half, the 48th minute. He just Joe Scally, who did another nice job on the back line, another start for him, another spot in the first 11. Was able to lift the ball into the middle of the park, into the middle of the pitch. He got the ball near half, sent it up forward into the attacking third. Flo brought it down with a great deft touch, and then just hammered the ball, and it hit the upper 90 of the kind of right where the post and crossbar meets. And that ball shot up, man, probably like 20 yards, 30 yards out of the picture, out of the TV frame, and a chance that really Flo nearly put away his second one. And that was a really well weighted ball there from Joe Scally. And Flo had it going on today. He had the flow, and I think that's really encouraging for the U.S. They got to keep going with him. He's got the hot hand now. He's now got 2 goals from 2 matches, and he's going to be the man up front that they're going to keep relying on. I really do think he's going to need to find the back of the net in that 3rd match for the U.S. to really have some success. Kind of just a lack of – you had the lack of the headspace for the U.S. You had Flo crushing the ball with confidence. You had Flo scoring with a lot of confidence, really hitting the ball well, striking the ball well. And then, there at the end, just Panama got through in the 83rd minute. You had a couple of Panamanians syncing up. It was really a situation where you thought that Robinson and Pulisic could get the ball there on the left side of the 18-yard box. It looked like it was kind of going to be, an unassuming chance there for Panama as they got to a loose ball. Well, they turned, they got near the byline and sent in a cross. The attacker for Panama was able to beat the U.S. defender there to the near post and score, and that was the day spoiled right there, 2-1, and now the U.S. is in a world of hurt with kind of what happened there. And the goal scorer was Jose Fiardo in the 83rd minute, with Panama getting that win. I do think that the U.S., they just absorbed a tremendous amount of pressure, as I mentioned. Panama had the ball for 75% of the game after the U.S. played a man down. It can be quite exhausting to kind of go through something like that. And, this defense has now given up 2 goals. They didn't give up. They had a clean sheet in the first match. And the first goal that Panama scored, it's kind of weak, honestly. It was kind of more of a garbage goal than anything. You had Caesar Blackman. He had his shot blocked by Robinson near the top of the box. Gathered the rebound, took a touch about 2 yards away from that original shot. Got in between, I believe it was Chris Richards and Tim Ream, and slotted it to the far post corner left side of the net. And really felt like kind of an unlucky bounce there after that first effort was blocked. But that just goes to show that the game of soccer can be kind of harsh in that way. And then the U.S. also, I should note, they had kind of false goal there to start the match in the 5th minute. Pulisic sending across from the right side on a free kick that was headed on frame by Chris Richards really strongly. It was deflected by the keeper. I believe it hit both the post and the crossbar, which you rarely see on a shot like that, or just ever, to be a matter of fact, just to hit both the crossbar and the post. And Tim Ream was offsides when that shot was headed on goal, was redirected on the net by Chris Richards. And so when Tim Ream was able to knock it back to Weston McKennie for a finish, it looked like it was 1-0 in the 5th minute. But that goal was under VAR and was called back. So kind of a bizarre day in terms of what happened today with the U.S. national team. The only thing I can really draw out of it is that they still have 3 points. They do need to get a result against Uruguay, probably a win. And what better time now than the present to have a must-win match in the final match of the group stage, all to play for, right? It's not like if they need help, if they get that win, they're going to be likely going through. And, there's going to be big matches like this, big knockout games coming for the U.S. national team moving forward at the World Cup. So this is 2 years ahead of that. This is the dry run for that. They got Uruguay, world-class defenders. This is a match where Uruguay, they're just loaded with talent. Players playing top-flight leagues over in Europe, really strong players. The U.S. is going to need to really probably play a lot of counterattack football, play compact, have a nice line, hold Uruguay in the back. I know, though, that even today with Panama, the U.S. had a little bit of problems kind of tracking through balls in terms of defending the speed of Panama. Well, the Uruguay's speed is going to be twice as fast. It's going to be a lot of that, and then the U.S. is going to need to strike early by getting the ball, keeping it, quick passes, and then working its way up the pitch against the run-up play to try to capitalize on his chances, which are going to be few and far between. But with the way Flo's playing, the way Christian's playing, those guys get a couple of chances, are going to be fine, as well as the set pieces are going to come into factor as well, with Christian serving in a lot of quality balls from the sides, from everywhere. And, even against Brazil in one of the friendlies leading up, he scored a low shot to the corner, slided home on a free kick on another set piece. So that's all I got for you guys. We'll see where the Yanks, if they can live on. But it's all to play for. Everything's still in their hands, and they got to take pride in that and now make up for really kind of a clunker of a game they had today, where they let CONCACAF get the best of them, and they should know better than that. They play against CONCACAF every qualifying cycle, but obviously they need to learn to kind of keep a better headspace, keep more control over kind of what they can control the controllable, and just kind of get things done. It's going to be an interesting final match day for Copa America for the U.S. men's national team. They will be taking on Uruguay, and Bolivia will be playing Panama. All right, y'all.